Part 5. Traditional Chinese Medicine, Infertility, Crazy Social Death Patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 41. Of course. Gao Qiang is aware that his reward method is not good. But he didn't plan to admit that he stole the girl's stockings and panties. The nature is much worse than the video of the Sakura teacher, especially under the public live broadcast camera, which is equivalent to dying in front of the people of the whole country. But the task force will not let go of Gao Qiang. Since Gao Qiang is unwilling to cooperate with the police station, let him have a long memory here. Su Mei glanced at Bai Ye, nodded politely, and then looked at Gao Qiang. Thanks to Dr. Bai's discernment, even if we had mastered the suspect's psychological profile, we wouldn't have been able to lock you down. Gao Qiang, you can be considered to have hit the muzzle of the gun. Let's get down to business. We detected traces of small human tadpoles on your desk, and soon after, we also found traces on the handle of your safe. So, I cracked the code of your safe, and sure enough, I found physical evidence. You can't rely on it. Got it? As soon as this remark came out, Gao Qiang's face turned white. Finished. I am famous for the rest of my life. How should I face my classmates and friends in the future, and how can I raise my head in front of my relatives and family? Come to think of this, Gao Qiang can't wait to find a hole to get into. What's it called? Su Mei did not forget to mend the knife. Good and evil will be rewarded in the end. The Ministry of Public Security only gave us 2 days to solve the case. Just 1 hour before the time limit, you ran to this Chinese medicine hall. It just so happens that you are arrogant and looking for Dr. Bai to take the pulse. We couldn't find the clues, and when we heard Dr. Bai's inference, we immediately locked on you. I'm going to try my luck with you, and the result is just as Dr. Bai expected. You've thrown yourself into the net. So give you a chance, is it to turn yourself in, admit guilt and accept punishment, confess and be lenient? I'm still going to find a lawyer. In that case, your case will have to be transferred to the Imperial Capital Public Security Department. And when you go to the Ministry of Public Security, your case is estimated to be known by the people of the whole country. Think for yourself. Hearing Su Mei say this, Gao Qiang wiped the sweat from his forehead and said with guilt on his face, Officer, I plead guilty and accept punishment. Can I be considered a voluntary surrender? Absolutely. Su Mei nodded and continued. You don't have a lot of stolen goods, the circumstances are minor, basically a suspended sentence, and there is a possibility that you will not be prosecuted. Of course, the key is to gain the understanding of the princess of an African country. Do you understand? I understand. Gao Qiang lowered his head, and the whole person seemed to be a little shorter. After speaking, he followed the plainclothes police out of the medical hall. Up here. Only then did the crowd understand what had happened. It's really a coincidence that there is no book. And among these interlocking reversals, the most important of them is the White Knight. Thanks to Bai Ye's professionalism and uprightness, he spoke out about Gao Qiang's faults, so that the task force was inspired to solve the case. Of course, even without Bai Ye's assistance, the task force could have solved the case, but the Ministry of Public Security just gave them 2 days. It was at this last opportunity that Bai Ye came with the strongest assists, which played a role in turning the tide. And this high strength is also unlucky. It is estimated that he couldn't imagine that he stole silk, socks, and underwear, and actually stole it from the princess of a certain African country. I never thought that Chinese medicine would be powerful. After understanding it, the barrage in the live broadcast room is all hilarious. Anchor, are you a koi? Talk and laugh to resolve international contradictions. After reacting, I feel like I've watched a suspenseful drama blockbuster. Love, congratulations to the streamer for gaining police fans. The anchor is so handsome. Ha 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 ha, laughing and peeing. So Gao Qiang sent himself in. The old man originally wanted to find the anchor to tie his waist, but it seems that he has to choose a day. But the old man watches the sky at night, the anchor is going to be on fire. Netizens never expected that watching the live broadcast room of traditional Chinese medicine could alarm the special case team of the Ministry of Public Security, and they could see such a bizarre case. All of a sudden, they all poured in. So, in just one day. Even though Bai rarely interacts with netizens, his popularity has soared from thousands to more than 1 million. This is also the first day of the Champion in the Line program. White Knight became the first person to break through 1 million popularity. Of course, he can't see the backstage himself, he doesn't know this. This way. After the police took Gao Qiang, Li Jiajia and the others should also prepare to leave. However, they suddenly discovered that Professor Liang and the director of the Public Security Bureau of the task force had no intention of leaving. So the soul of eating melons was ignited again, and I planned to see the excitement again. Especially Lin Wanfan, she couldn't stop looking at Professor Liang, she always felt that Professor Liang was familiar, but she didn't remember what time she had seen it. Netizens in the live broadcast room. It's not early, the family is washing, and I go to sleep. Indeed, I don't know what time the anchor will be off the air. Wait, why haven't the task force and the director of the Public Security Bureau left yet? Aren't they trying to get the anchor in trouble? How come, the anchor assists in solving the case, and he must be rewarded? But seeing that their expressions are wrong, the anchor seems to be in trouble again. Traditional Chinese medicine, infertility, crazy social death patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 42. Bai was also surprised to see that the task force and the director of the Public Security Bureau had not left. However, he is not afraid of crooked shadows. And didn't take it to heart. Moreover, at this time, the friendly electronic voice of the system sounded. The host chooses the second way of declaring. Detect that the host points out the patient's bad habits in front of the public, and helps the patient realize the seriousness of the problem to the greatest extent and complete the task. Congratulations to the host for receiving the reward, God-level TCM massage. Hosts can accept rewards at any time. Accept the reward. As soon as Bai's mind fell, 2 rays of light descended from the void and merged into his brain and hands. Suddenly, a majestic theoretical knowledge of TCM massage was deeply rooted in his mind. TCM Tuina, as the name suggests, is based on the theory of TCM. In order to achieve the effect of healing people with people, the God-level Chinese medicine massage rewarded by the system allows Bai to penetrate the qi in his hands in the process of massage. In this way, when he gives massage to patients, he can more accurately soothe injured parts or uncomfortable parts of the patient's body surface, as well as specific acupoints or painful places. That is to say, it can achieve faster than normal massage to dredge the meridians, promote qi and blood, help injuries and relieve pain, dispel evil and promote righteousness, reconcile yin and yang, and prolong life. The results are immediate. What a good thing, Bai opened his eyes, and his eyes were suddenly clear, and his face was filled with uncontrollable joy. Then, Zhao Donglei, director of the Public Security Bureau, walked over and spoke directly. Dr. Bai, you are not very old, and your kung fu of flying needles and acupuncture points is really good. Director Zhao, hearing the other party's words, Bai came back to his senses, and said neither humbly nor arrogantly. You have something to say. Haha, don't worry, it's not a big deal. Zhao Donglei admired Bai's temperament and said with a smile. As the saying goes, chivalry is forbidden with martial arts, and your flying needle kung fu is too powerful. I have to trouble you to come with me to the bureau to prepare a case. Filing, hearing what the director of the Public Security Bureau said, Bai Ye couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Yes. Zhao Donglei nodded. In fact, it is just to store your physiological information such as fingerprints, voice prints, DNA, height, and weight. However, given that your flying needle technique is too special, the Bureau will invite professional experts to conduct system appraisal. It will take some time in this regard, and I hope you will understand and cooperate with our law and order work. Zhao Donglei, as the director of the Public Security Bureau, spoke to Bai Ye so politely, naturally for the sake of Professor Liang's face. Otherwise, he just let the police come to deal with it. However, when he watched the live broadcast replay just now, he was shocked to find that Bai Ye's flying needle technology was too against the sky. That's why I spoke in person. Hearing the other party say this, Bai Ye's eyes couldn't help but be stunned. He didn't object to filing, and it was quick to register those personal information, but he said that he would have to let a professional do the identification, which would be troublesome. Bai Ye dared to say that in this parallel world, it was estimated that no one would be able to perform a flying needle puncture of his level. He is not good at explaining the system, and if this time is delayed, will he still be able to do live broadcast? Seeing Bai Ye's predicament, Professor Liang stepped forward at this time, smiled and said, "Director Zhao, I think Dr. Bai will be exempted from filing." "What does Professor Liang mean by that?" Zhao Donglei asked. "You are the director of the Public Security Bureau of the City Bureau, and it is not enough to understand the authority. Professor Liang is serious." Hearing this, Zhao Donglei was stunned, pondered for a while, and suddenly thought of Professor Liang's other identity. "I couldn't help but speak. I almost forgot that Professor Liang is also an old Chinese medicine doctor. Don't you want to protect your calves? But we're on business." "No, no, no." Professor Liang smiled. "Director Zhao, have you forgotten, if it is the information of Chinese medicine talents in the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall, even the director of the Public Security Department of the Provincial Department has no right to ask about it. At least you have to be at the vice-national level or above to understand the tip of the iceberg." As soon as these words came out, not only Zhao Donglei was stunned, but even Lin Wanfen was shocked. Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall. Others may not know, but they are well aware that the TCM organization, which sounds a bit like a martial arts sect, is real. And it's a mysterious organization that specializes in serving the big people at the vice-national level and the national level. It is said that the threshold for entering the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall is quite high, and the ancestors must have served as the emperor's imperial physician and be the children of a family of traditional Chinese medicine, or the children of these families of traditional Chinese medicine can only enter through the joint recommendation and assessment. But this part is very rare, and it must be a legendary son of Chinese medicine in order to be jointly recommended by a family of Chinese medicine. It can be said that the Chinese medicine talents in the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall are the contemporary imperial doctors. Serve the group of history makers at the pinnacle of power. Zhao Donglei and Lin Wanfen can accept this. In fact, whether it is in the political or business circles, there are such mysterious medical institutions. For example, Macau Gambling King, he has a group of medical talents under him, who develop brain tonic drugs every month, and a tube of brain tonic injections is worth tens of millions. There is also Warren Buffett abroad, who still changes his heart in his 90s. It's just that. They were shocked. The threshold for entering the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall is quite high, so high that even Ni Guanghai, the current academic Chinese medicine practitioner, can't enter. And it is said that there is also an age limit. But the White Knight at the moment looks so young, how can it be someone from the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall? Besides, although the people in the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall are mysterious, they are not so lowly as to open a small Chinese medicine hall in a small alley, and also participate in live broadcasts. Come to think of this. Zhao Donglei couldn't help but laugh. "Professor Liang, don't be kidding, Dr. Bai's medical skills are very exquisite, but look at his expression. It is estimated that he himself has never heard of the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall. Haha, of course he hadn't heard of it. Professor Liang said with a smile. Because I'm just going to invite him now. As soon as these words came out, Lin Wanfan's whole body was shocked, and only then did she suddenly vaguely remember Professor Liang's identity. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Traditional Chinese Medicine, Infertility, Crazy Social Death Patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 43. Professor Leung, I beg your pardon. Lin Wanfan thought for a while, and couldn't help but step forward and ask. Have we met somewhere? I always think you're familiar. Hearing Lin Wanfan's question, Professor Liang patted Zhao Donglei's shoulder and motioned for him to wait, then looked at Lin Wanfan and spoke. Lin Wanfan, right. You don't remember me, but I still remember you, Mr. Ni Guanghai's protege. Do you know me? Lin Wanfan's expression moved slightly when she heard this. Back then, Mr. Ni wanted to compile national defense traditional Chinese medicine education, and specially invited me to your Imperial Capital Medical University as a guest, don't you remember? Professor Liang said slowly, I also took out the ancient book Acupuncture and Moxibustion A and B Sutra and the fragment Tai Su from my Liang family's collection, and I remember that you asked me questions at that time. Hear this. Lin Wanfan was stunned immediately, and then a large number of memories flooded into her mind. I remember. Then he stared at Professor Liang with wide eyes and muttered puzzled. You've changed so much, I said it's familiar. The Liang family, one of the families of traditional Chinese medicine, is a representative of the contemporary school of medicine and economics, and many sages and philosophers have served as emperors and imperial doctors. And you yourself are a veritable king of medicine. I can't believe you're now. As the saying goes, it starts with yin and yang, and one source has many streams. Over the long thousands of years, many schools of Chinese medicine have been born. The School of Medical Scriptures is the most familiar to the public, and there are 7 medical scriptures recorded in ancient times, but only the Yellow Emperor's Niajing has been handed down. Subsequently, based on the Yellow Emperor's Niajing, many works were born, such as Bianqiu's Difficult Scripture, Hua Tuo's Zhongzhang Sutra, Huangfumi's Acupuncture A and B Sutra and so on. And in addition to this school, there are other schools, such as the Jingfang School, the Typhoid School, the Hejian School, the Attacking Evil School, the Attacking Evil School, and so on. These schools have all given birth to outstanding powers of Chinese medicine, and they have all served as imperial physicians and physicians. It's just that a lot of TCM teaching in the academy now involves many of these schools, after all, many of them are confidential. In ancient times, it was in the service of the emperor. It is already very good to be able to spread it to the people and let some Langzhong learn to serve the people. Other words. Even Ni Guanghai, who is known as the master of traditional Chinese medicine, is actually just a small family with extensive knowledge but not specialization in the eyes of those real Chinese medicine families. At this time, hearing Lin Wanfan's words, Professor Liang smiled and said simply, I come from a family of Chinese medicine practitioners, but I am not a doctor. Rather, he is the chief advisor of Interpol's Dragon Country Affairs Division. You're humble. Hearing Professor Liang say this, Zhao Donglei couldn't help but interject. You are also an invited expert in the analysis of FBI criminal behavior in the beautiful country, and an honorary professor at many universities around the world. Ahem. Professor Liang waved his hand. I was retired at the time, so I didn't take care of my image very much. Later, in order to investigate a major transnational case related to traditional Chinese medicine, the state invited me to join the task force, ahem, I won't mention this. So the impression of me in your impression is still the same as when I had long hair and fluttering hair. The voice fell. Lin Wanfen nodded respectfully, looking flattered. Then he immediately asked in shock. Professor Liang, you just said you wanted to invite Dr. Bai to join Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall. I heard that the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall, as an institution serving national cadres, should have a minimum age requirement of no less than 50, right? And even the children of a family of traditional Chinese medicine must go through a strict assessment before they can enter. I really can't help but wonder, you are qualified to recommend virtuous people, but how can you fall in love with Dr. Bai who has just met for the first time? After saying this, the Chinese medicine hall in the White Knight fell into a brief silence. Li Jiajia and Lu Xiao found that they had completely turned into transparent little karami in front of the big guys, and they had to be careful to breathe. Especially Li Jiajia, she originally wanted to come to this small Chinese medicine hall to fight fakes and find faults. But now I can't imagine that the doctor in this small Chinese medicine hall will be so good, and he has been recognized by a big man who even Master Ni respects. This may be a big figure involved in the history of Chinese medicine, and even invite him to join the legendary Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall. It's just so explosive. Li Jiajia felt that her little heart had been greatly impacted. The whole small Chinese medicine hall is the most calm in the cat in their arms. At this time, the barrage in the live broadcast room. Anchor, please take my knees. What a fairy unfold this. Damn. The Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall turned out to be real. I thought it was a fiction. Gotcha. I thought the anchor was just an ordinary Chinese medicine practitioner, but I didn't expect it to be an existence that needs to be looked upon. Good guy. Where is the anchor sacred? Who will popularize the concept of the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall? Go back upstairs. In ancient times, it was the emperor's imperial doctor. I'm more concerned about whether the anchor can still give us a live broadcast if he joins the Imperial Medical Hall. Yes, what I want to see is the anchor consulting infertility and crazy social death patients. Brothers, there is a more serious problem now. The anchor may be taken away by the police. Netizens have opened their eyes and refreshed their cognition of Bai step by step. I didn't expect such a young Chinese medicine practitioner to be affirmed by so many big names. This is simply the holy son of traditional Chinese medicine, and the holy son of traditional Chinese medicine, who is close to the people, may now be adopted by the state. They couldn't help but worry again, worried that they wouldn't be able to see the live broadcast of White Knight in the future. This way. After hearing Lin Wanfen's question, Professor Liang was silent for a while before he spoke leisurely. Xiaolin, now the general environment is different, there is no such thing as the outside world, and there is no fixed requirement for age. With the penetration of Western medicine and the suppression of traditional Chinese medicine, the responsibilities and service objects of Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall have also been adapted. Not only the national level, but also the deputy national level, as well as people who have made great contributions to the country, are all service recipients. For example, Yang Lao, who has won the Nobel Prize in Physics, has no children under his knees, and we will find a way to solve the fertility problem. For example, many old generals come to marry young wives, and the tadpoles are not very healthy, so we will also find a way. Ahem, to put it simply, they are all traditional Chinese medicine, and their concepts are more traditional, so they deal with infertility problems more. Or other incurable diseases involving infertility. It's not, it goes well with Dr. Bai's expertise. Traditional Chinese medicine, infertility, crazy social death patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 44. After Professor Liang said this, everyone fell silent. And Lin Wanfen also read another meaning from Professor Liang's eyes. That is, due to various reasons, it has led to the westernization of traditional Chinese medicine, the loss of traditional Chinese medicine talents, and the number of famous experts is becoming fewer and fewer, and there is a lack of successors. So when he saw a genius Chinese medicine doctor like Bai Ye, Professor Liang had a heart of love for talent. Looking at Professor Liang's eyes, Lin Wanfan thought of more. Professor Liang's mention of a case related to Chinese medicine reminded her of the suppression of Chinese medicine today, and the flow of many precious Chinese medicine materials and prescriptions overseas. There are many corruption and criminal cases involved, and the teacher also mentioned that the state will not ignore this, and has asked the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection and the Ministry of Public Security to investigate. But at the same time, she also knows that Chinese medicine is now despised, and in the final analysis, the public's understanding of Chinese medicine culture is too superficial. Therefore, the education and popularization of Chinese medicine is the top priority. It's a pity that those erudite Chinese medicine families and everyone are already old. Even if they have the ambition of the sky, they are also powerless in the face of ruthless capital. Come to think of this, Lin Wanfan couldn't help but look at the young and energetic Bai Ye. After discussing so much just now, they haven't heard Bai Ye's opinion yet. Professor Liang also looked at Bai Ye with expectant eyes and asked politely, "Dr. Bai, you must already know what kind of institution the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall is. Well, are you interested in joining?" At this time, after Bai Ye learned Professor Liang's identity and intentions, he didn't react much. After all, he's a man with a system. What Emperor Imperial Doctor, all kinds of schools of Chinese medicine, are all younger brothers in front of him. But after the comparison, he found that his identity and status were a little awkward. Staying in a small hospital to treat patients is indeed too passive. Just like just now, when you cast the flying needle, you have to run to the police station to file it, which is really troublesome. Perhaps after joining a national organization, one's own choice, autonomy, and action will be greater, and even more benefits. For example, in the future, there is no need to alarm the police if you use any medical skills against the sky. Come to think of this. Bai Ye smiled faintly, then nodded, and looked at Professor Liang. "Thank you, Professor Liang, for breaking the siege, but I don't know how to join." "And what responsibility do you need to bear?" "Haha, it's easy." Hearing Bai Ye say this, Professor Liang smiled. "Traditional Chinese medicine is different from other industries. I can just pull you into the prestige group. There will be a lot of things in the group that you are interested in, and we also have an exchange meeting every year. As for the duties, you can say yes or no, it's up to you, and you'll know when the time comes. Of course, you'll have to go through my assessment before you can join." "Oh, I don't know what kind of assessment it is." Bai Ye couldn't help but light up when he heard this. If there are many rules and regulations, he still has to consider refusing. Unexpectedly, just adding to the group was much easier and more convenient than he imagined. Isn't this similar to the chat group in an online novel? I just thought about everything. Hearing Bai Ye's question, Professor Liang was also in a hurry, so he spoke directly. "Give me a TCM massage, and I'll feel your technique. If you're satisfied, I'll pull you into the group. After joining the group, your status is different, and you will know this then. At least you don't need to go back to the Public Security Bureau with Director Zhao for the record." As he spoke, Professor Liang untied his coat and looked at Bai Ye and said sincerely, "Young man, I can't hide it, I like you very much, and if I can pull a talent like you into the group, I will be honored. However, the assessment I have set up is not simple. TCM massage is not a simple massage. Mr. Ni Guanghai once gave me TCM massage. To be honest, his technique is very clumsy. I am not satisfied. Mr. Ni Guanghai can be regarded as a master of academic Chinese medicine, that is to say, your technique must be stronger than him." "How's that, are you sure?" As soon as this remark came out, everyone in the Chinese medicine hall couldn't help but be surprised. Especially Lin Wanfen, Master Ni is her mentor. As a representative of the academic school of Chinese medicine, although his expertise is not as good as that of those Chinese medicine families, his practical ability of Chinese medicine is also one of the best. Unexpectedly, in the relatively simple field of TCM massage, he would not be able to enter Professor Liang's eyes. In fact, TCM massage is not difficult to say, and it is not simple to say that it is simple. The key depends on the standard. Those health centers on the street have traditional Chinese medicine massage projects, which shows that this craft is very popular. But to really do a good job, it is not easy to achieve the effect of treating people with people through massage. Come to think of this, Lin Wanfen looked at Bai Ye and felt that it was difficult for him to pass. In a word, if you are too young and your teacher can't meet the standard, let alone the inexperienced Bai Ye. Diddy. Professor Liang had just taken off his coat when his mobile phone rang, and when he picked it up, it was actually Bai Jingyu, the Minister of Public Security, calling. Lao Liang, the 2-day time limit for you has arrived. How is the case? Comrade Jingyu, thanks to Mr. Bai Ye of the Bai Traditional Chinese Medicine Museum, the case will be closed soon, and by the way, this Mr. Bai is still participating in the live broadcast of Sing Champion. Oh, it's good to solve the case, then come back early. Comrade Jingyu, I may have to take half a day off to prepare to experience Mr. Bai's TCM massage. On the other end of the phone, Bai Jingyu, who was at the deputy national level, was stunned when he heard this, and couldn't help asking. Lao Liang, you're not kidding, can't the person who is qualified to give you massage be a colleague of the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall? As he spoke, Bai Jingyu also glanced at Qi Xia, the doctor of the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall who was giving him a pulse diagnosis next to him. Comrade Jingyu, no kidding, I'll hang up first. What does this old naughty boy think? Bai Jingyu couldn't help but be curious, and then turned on the live broadcast on his mobile phone and searched for Bai Ye's live broadcast room. Mr. Qi, you are also curious, let's take a look. Imperial Capital Medical University. Ni Guanghai was busy with some things and looked at the time. It was already past 9 o'clock in the evening. I don't know if the live broadcast room of White Knight is closed. He pushed the notebook aside and hurriedly searched for the live broadcast room that entered the White Knight. Then he immediately saw a face that he knew and admired. This man is Professor Lung. Traditional Chinese medicine, infertility, crazy social death patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 45. Ni Guanghai saw Professor Liang appear in the live broadcast room of the White Knight. I thought I was dazzled. I was stunned for a while. It was confirmed that the old man with crane hair and childish face in the live broadcast room was Liang Yuqiu, a representative of the school of traditional Chinese medicine. Then, soon, through their conversation, he learned something that shocked him even more. That is, Liang Yuqiu took the initiative to invite Bai Ye to join the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall. Being able to enter the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall means that you can really learn the essence of ancient Chinese medicine, which are by no means something that can be touched in textbooks. For this reason, he also begged to join. But in the face of Liang Yuqiu's assessment, he was eliminated without passing. Ni Guanghai recalled that the original assessment was also traditional Chinese medicine massage. Reasons for fail. In Liang Yuqiu's words, it is. Professor Ni, if the full score is 100 points, your TCM massage techniques can only barely pass. Because your technique embodies the principles of Chinese medicine's internal organs and meridians, qi and blood, but ignores the anatomical and pathological diagnosis perspective of Western medicine. If you want to get 80 points, you must be able to combine Chinese and Western medicine expertise in massage. If you want to get 90 points, You not only need to combine the perspectives of traditional Chinese and Western medicine, but also let the anatomical and pathological diagnosis perspectives of Western medicine be included in the framework of traditional Chinese medicine massage. And if you want to get a full score and achieve the effect of governing people by people, it is estimated that you can only be reincarnated by Qi. Looking back on it now, Ni Guanghai is also convinced. After all, Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall is a traditional Chinese medicine organization that serves high-ranking people, but he did not think it through. But even if he realized the problem, it is also even more difficult to integrate Chinese and Western medicine into massage. Because the treatment of traditional Chinese medicine, even if it is relatively simple, is also systematic, which means that the process is not important, and the overall effect depends on the specific effect. Western medicine, on the other hand, is to pay attention to details and processes, and to constantly refine differentiation. There is a natural opposition to this. It is also necessary to nest the framework of Western medicine into the framework of Chinese medicine, and reflect it through massage. Arguably, it is not the kind of genius who has studied Chinese and Western medicine since childhood, and it is absolutely difficult to grasp. It also requires a lot of clinical experience and feedback to meet Liang Yukai's assessment standards. Come to think of this, Ni Guanghai looked at Bai Ye in the live broadcast room, and then shook his head. This little guy's talent for Chinese medicine is really amazing, but if you want to pass Professor Liang's assessment, it is as difficult as the sky. I'm too young, and it's good to be able to barely qualify. At this time, Bai's Traditional Chinese Medicine Museum. Zhao Dong, director of the Public Security Bureau, looked at Professor Liang and couldn't help but speak. Professor Liang, I think you just want to have a massage for nothing. I know that entering the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall is 100 times more difficult than being admitted to Tsinghua University and Peking University, unless you deliberately release water. In my opinion, don't waste your time. Hearing Zhao Donglei say this, Professor Liang ignored it, but looked at Bai Ye. How's it going, lad? You have the right to refuse. But I still want you to give it a try. The voice fell. All eyes were on the white knight. But when he saw Bai Ye's face smiling lightly, he couldn't help but laugh in his heart. Isn't this a coincidence? I just obtained the god-level Chinese medicine massage skills. No matter what standard of assessment you have, it won't be difficult for me. You can also try the power of this reward. Thinking of this, Bai Ye spoke. No problem, then I'll give my seniors a TCM massage. To be honest, I don't want to go to the Public Security Bureau again, it's too troublesome. I also hope that Professor Liang will pull me into the group of imperial doctors. Said. I also made a gesture of please. Professor Liang didn't talk nonsense, handed the coat to Sume, and then lay down on the bed next to him. Then you use some force, I'm very forced. Good. When Bai Ye heard this, he didn't talk nonsense, he rolled up his sleeves and got started directly. The moment his hand touched Professor Liang's back, Bai Ye found that his hand, like a probe, grasped the other party's body information almost instantly. It's a system reward. I really didn't expect that Professor Liang, who is in his 80s, is still so strong. Even if there are many traumatic injuries on his back, it still does not affect his physique. It's just that when you know how to massage, you also need to pay extra attention to those shocking injuries. Minutes and seconds passed. The people in the hospital thought it would be a boring process. But I didn't expect Bai Ye's technique to be like an old artist, and the process of massage is not only professional, but also has the beauty of Chinese medicine philosophy. Even Zhao Donglei, who does not understand traditional Chinese medicine, was also attracted, and what he saw was the rhythm of traditional culture circulating in Bai Ye. Lin Wanfan's eyes widened, and her breathing couldn't help but be cautious. She saw the artistic beauty of the combination of ancient and modern Chinese and Western in the technique of the White Knight. and Li Jiajia and Lu Xiao directly became. Especially Li Jiajia, she already has giant breasts and symptoms, and every time she comes to menstruation, her chest is swollen and painful. At this moment, she was already fantasizing about letting Baya unblock the pressure on her chest every day. Imperial Capital. The bedroom of the Minister of Public Security, Bai Jingyu. Mr. Qi, what do you think of this White Knight's technique? Yes, Lao Liang has vision and the strength to join the Imperial Doctor Group. Qi Xia, who was hired by Zhu Yan and he, spoke. However, even if it joins, it is estimated that it will be eliminated soon. Every year, a group of fresh blood joins, but very few remain. This little guy is too young. It's hard to take on big responsibilities. Imperial Capital Medical University. Ni Guanghai looked at Bai Ye's operation in the live broadcast room, and his eyes suddenly widened. Incredible. Did this little guy find a solution to the problem at once? I simulated the best technique countless times later, and I saw it at first glance in this White Knight. He was able to see Professor Liang's trauma in such a short period of time, and he was able to combine traditional Chinese and Western medicine. It's a genius of Chinese medicine. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Traditional Chinese medicine, infertility, crazy social death patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 46. Magic City. Bai's Traditional Chinese Medicine Museum. Professor Liang lay on his stomach on the cot, with the help of Bai Ye's massage. He felt like he was swimming in the sea. Before I knew it, I felt sleepy. Years ago, he suffered a lot of traumatic injuries while working as an interpol, and although the epidermis has healed, the muscle diaphragm and nerves have not been recovered. As the seasons turned, these traumatic injuries stung him. Therefore, he will often ask his colleagues in the Imperial Medical Group to do TCM massage for him to relieve pain. Of course, the choice of TCM massage is mainly economical and fast, not limited to the venue, which can be described as simple but not simple. But to speak from the heart, he didn't have much hope for Bai Ye, but he just wanted to go through the motions to save Bai Ye from trouble, which could be regarded as a good fate. But I didn't expect that. Bai Ye's traditional Chinese medicine massage techniques are getting more and more into his heart. In the back, he completely relaxed his vigilance and snorted slightly. It was a wonderful treat he hadn't experienced in years. Crispy and numb, the yang energy is raised, and the qi and blood run every day, as if healing while breathing. And his consciousness is like a sailboat floating on the quiet sea at night, the moonlight pours out, quiet and peaceful. Half an hour passed before I knew it. Seeing that the effect was at its best, the White Knight stopped when the gain was not obvious. Patting Professor Liang on the back, he spoke. Are you feeling better, Professor Lung? The voice fell. Zhao Donglei and the others couldn't help but look at the time, and they didn't expect that half an hour had passed unconsciously. At this time, they couldn't help but think about asking Bai Ye to do massage for them as well. Professor Liang let out a long breath when he heard Bai Ye's voice, then turned around and stretched. But I didn't want to get up right away. I can't get enough of it. Those external injuries on the back turned out to be pushed down in the White Knight, and it became some kind of switch to get happy and comfortable, and it was crispy and numb when you pressed it. What a treat. Professor Liang, it's time to get up, it's sad to sleep for a long time. Seeing this, Bai Ye reminded with a smile. It's been a long time, it's only been half an hour. Professor Liang smiled, and then gave a thumbs up. Congratulations, lad, I'm satisfied. Out of 100, I give it 90. Said. Professor Liang stood up, and Sumei put his coat on him. I'll pull you into the group right away. Then he glanced at Zhao Donglei and said seriously. Director Zhao, I didn't release the water, this young man's strength is indeed okay. Professor Liang, since I have your guarantee, whether the water is released or not, I will definitely not take people away. When Zhao Donglei heard this, he immediately said. At this time, Lin Wanfen stepped forward, looked at Professor Liang, who was more radiant, and couldn't help but ask. Professor Liang, may I please? You say. Professor Liang glanced at Lin Wanfen and smiled at the corner of his mouth. Do you want to ask why your mentor, Mr. Ni Guanghai, failed to do TCM massage for me, but Dr. Bai was able to score 90 points? Hearing this, Lin Wanfen was slightly stunned, and then nodded. It's simple. Professor Liang said frankly. To be honest, although traditional Chinese medicine is broad and profound, the advantages and disadvantages are obvious in modern clinical treatment. Nowadays, TCM massage is almost understood by the public as a healthcare project, but in fact, in ancient times, it can achieve the effect of treating people with people. It's a pity that it is difficult today. After all, times have changed, and it is necessary to combine the essence of Chinese and Western medicine and innovate under the framework of Chinese medicine. And my standard is still the standard of the ancient imperial family. Mr. Ni Guanghai's theory is good, but unfortunately it is far from meeting my requirements. On the contrary, Dr. Bai did all the things I asked for. Do you understand? As soon as this remark came out, the air seemed to freeze for a few seconds. Lin Wanfen worked hard to digest these points, and after a long pause, she gradually had a sense of sudden understanding. Then there seemed to be a monstrous wave in my heart, and I was shocked beyond measure. She stared blankly at the young and handsome Bai Ye, as if she was looking at the holy son of Chinese medicine in the novel, and her heart was full of respect and admiration. At this time, Ni Guanghai, who was looking at the live broadcast room, heard Professor Liang's evaluation. He nodded solemnly. I was ashamed and shocked, and I wanted to visit the White Knight in person. Live room. Damn. The anchor is so awesome. Although I don't understand, someone is inexplicably happy when someone praises the anchor. It means that the anchor can smoothly enter the group of imperial doctors, and he can treat infertility for the big shots. Worry. Anchor, this is really going to be a hot rhythm. The anchor looks like he's only in his early 20s, is the Chinese medicine literacy already so strong? Even the Chinese medicine master Ni Lao can't compare to the anchor in some aspects, it's terrifying. 10 o'clock in the evening. Many netizens are ready to rest, and they can see the operation and feedback of the White Knight walk. They were all shocked. They really couldn't imagine that a small folk Chinese medicine hall was really crouching tiger, hidden dragon. White Knight is such a treasure boy. So they forwarded it everywhere, and for a while, the popularity of Bai Ye's live broadcast room soared again, exceeding 2 million. This way. After Bai Ye joined the Huaxia Imperial Doctor Group, he set up a message without reminders. In his opinion, this Chinese medicine circle, which is extremely cherished by his peers, does not have much weight, but is only an information window. After all, he is a systematic man. Next. Professor Liang chatted a little more and left. This was followed by Lin Wanfen's farewell. Li Jiajia looked at the time, and after scanning the code to pay, she suddenly came to Bai Ye's side. Dr. Bai, I want to ask. You can deduce that Gao Qiang has a fetish and likes stockings just by looking at the pulse. Do you like stockings too? Heard Li Jiajia's words. Bai Ye was slightly stunned. This strange beautiful girl gave him a feeling of being smart and clever. It's really hard how to answer, it's like a girl suddenly comes to him and confesses to him. Somewhat offended. However, in the face of a young and lovely girl like Li Jiajia, Bai Ye didn't have any temper, so she replied with a shallow smile. It's not too early, let's go back and rest early. And Li Jiajia heard Bai Ye say this, and suddenly burst out laughing. I see. I'll come tomorrow in stockings to apply for your assistant. Baya nodded. I said it casually, I thought you were joking. I'm not kidding, your assistant, I'm done. Li Jiajia's eyes glowed golden. Traditional Chinese medicine, infertility, crazy social death patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 47. After bidding farewell to Li Jiajia in the White Night, he stretched his waist. In just one day, I saw 3 patients, which was really tiring. But the harvest is also abundant. Supreme pulse control, God-level acupuncture, God-level Chinese medicine massage. It's all a proper miracle. It would be nice to have a physical fitness boost. On this first day, I came back in time, and I was somewhat unfamiliar with my new identity and new environment. So as an anchor, I didn't interact much with netizens in the live broadcast room. That's a pity. I guess my popularity is at the bottom of the show. It's not early, so let's wash and sleep. The anchor is also going to rest. See you tomorrow. Baya immediately turned off the live broadcast mercilessly. Next, start planning your next steps. As a Chinese medicine practitioner, or a Chinese medicine practitioner with a system, he doesn't want to passively wait for patients to come to his door all the time. You have to find a way to get out of the alley and make a name for yourself. Not to mention promoting the culture of traditional Chinese medicine, at least to become a leader in this field, so as not to cross in vain. And this first step is to understand the level of Chinese medicine in this parallel world. Come to think of this, Baya inadvertently opened the Huaxia Imperial Doctor Group, and there were only more than 50 members in the group, which surprised him. After modifying the notes, I found that someone had already at him. Let him introduce himself, and blow up the photo. Baya randomly chose an angle to take a selfie and posted it to the group. Even if someone interacts. Typhoid School Sun Dateo, Bai's Chinese Medicine Museum, Bai's family, how come I've never heard of it? Zhu Yuanyu of the Yin School, focusing on infertility looking at infertility as a low-level TCM disease, is it embarrassing to pull into the group? Dr. Xue of the Wenbu School, TISC, this kid hasn't graduated from college yet, right? Jin Yuangzi of the Huatong School which school do you learn from, little friend? Huangzai Y, wow. What a handsome little brother. Hee, I finally have a group friend of the same age as me. There is no sect and no faction, and people may be the emperor's imperial doctor like me. Seeing these representatives of traditional Chinese medicine from all walks of life commenting on themselves, and speaking in the middle of the second, a black line flashed on Bai's forehead. If only I knew about diving silently. Ding dong. At this time, someone in prestige added him as a friend. The white night was lit through. Hello Bai, my name is Huang Zaiwai, and my ancestor is Huang Yuanyu, the imperial physician of Emperor Qianlong. Bai also replied with a simple hello, and then looked at her circle of friends. What surprised him? This Huang Zaiwai is actually a young beautiful girl who is only 16 years old. In the circle of friends are photos and videos of her participating in various Chinese and foreign traditional Chinese medicine exchange meetings. One of them says something like this. For TCM and martial arts, the best qualifications are passed down from generation to generation. Huang Zaiwai, you are so mysterious. By the way, what is your specialty? Won't it just depend on infertility? White Knight, Huang Zaiwai, my specialty is herbal medicine, but it also happens that I have been practicing the simplest infertility recently, so I can take you. In addition, as a newcomer, if you don't take out 2 brushes in a month, you will be kicked out. If it is infertility caused by physical weakness, it is indeed a minor illness in the eyes of traditional Chinese medicine, and it is not even worth mentioning. Baya looked at the message she sent, and simply replied, Huang Zaiwai, you won't say anything other than White Knight, Huang Xiaowai. The two chatted awkwardly for a while, but Huang Xiaowai ignored Bai Ye anymore, and was even a little indignant. As a medicine genius, it was the first time that she was treated coldly by her peers. And Bai Ye didn't take it to heart. If you are not familiar with each other, and you are not asking for others, why pretend to be courteous? Anyway, this group should only be a window to understand the information of peers. As the planning of this show began, the overwhelming advertising began to cover. After all, she is the sixth princess, and she is generous. And this day came down. The popularity statistics of each live broadcast room will also be released. The program team expected that there would be many professional anchors who would become popular, but they really didn't expect that Bai's Chinese medicine infertility would be so popular. And it's still a ride. In just one day, it exceeded more than 2 million followers. What's even more interesting? Other anchors are still working hard. That White Knight was off the air so early. This made the program team puzzled. There is a recording storage in the background, so they excerpted the live broadcast of the White Knight and watched it, and the results were amazing. I can't imagine the style of the White Knight live broadcast room that is not good at words, but it is so funny and sharp. At the same time, it can also be seen that the topic of infertility has become a hot topic among the public. After the program team repeatedly confirmed Bai Ye's level of traditional Chinese medicine, they immediately made a decision. That is, directly put the live broadcast room of White Knight on the homepage of the program, and marked it with special copywriting. This makes more and more people, as long as they click on this show, they can see that the live broadcast room of White Knight ranks first. But after all, it takes time for the heat to ferment, and when the White Knight explodes, it will be about half a month later. Meanwhile, there are also many self-employed people who saw the opportunity and began to edit the live broadcast content of White Knight, making various short videos and posting them on the internet. However, at this moment, Bai Ye was completely unaware of this. He had just washed up and was ready for bed. The small alley where the Bai's traditional Chinese medicine hall is located. An ordinary residential building. Wife, the Bai Chinese medicine pavilion downstairs has opened again, and it has also appeared on the front page of the live broadcast program Seeing Champion. Let's take a look tomorrow. Don't be husband, since it's a live broadcast, we are still pregnant with a child for 2 years, and we can't die in front of everyone. You can't say that, wife, if social death can be exchanged for a good pregnancy, it's worth it. Besides, we have been examined by both Chinese and Western doctors, and there is no problem with our health. That's what I said, but I always feel that something will go wrong. You see the short videos cut out by netizens, that's Ya Tian, G Wavelength, and Gao Qiang, but the society is dead. They have bad habits, but how upright we are. And we have taken so many Chinese and Western medicines in the past 2 years that have not worked. Maybe we have met quacks. This white doctor does not look young, but he is very capable. Okay, husband, you said so, then let's go see tomorrow. Traditional Chinese medicine, infertility, crazy social death patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 48. Early the next morning. Li Jiajia University Dormitory. Jiajia, dressed up so beautifully, and wearing black silk, what are you going to do? The roommate asked. He, my sister is going to do an internship today. Hearing this, Li Jiajia turned around in front of the mirror. No, the summer vacation hasn't arrived yet, Jiajia, are you in such a hurry? Hearing this, Li Jiajia put down the electricity on herself in the mirror. Anyway, I don't have many classes, so I'll take a leave of absence later. I'll go to the male god for an interview later, he. Say no more, let's go. After Li Jiajia finished speaking, she left the dormitory with a little song. After breakfast in the cafeteria, something suddenly came to mind. So I picked up my phone and called out. This call was to be made to her father, Li Dakang, the secretary of the Municipal Party Committee of the Imperial Capital. Hey, Dad, I've already gone to Bai's Chinese Medicine Center to see it. It's amazing. I'm going to interview there today as an assistant. Oh, yes, I'll just say that it's false. Master and I must have been deceived, right? Hearing his daughter's excited words, Li Dakang didn't react for a while, and after reminiscing, he couldn't help but ask. What? Girl, what did you just say? Daddy didn't hear clearly. Dad, I mean I'm going to interview to be Bai's assistant. Hey, on the other end of the phone, Li Dakang was silent for a long time, and the development of the script was somewhat unexpected to him. In his logical reasoning, the anchor of Bai's Chinese Medicine Hall should say that he used AI technology or found actors to make cameos. But I didn't expect that my daughter, as a fanatic of Chinese medicine, planned to stay there as an assistant after personally exploring the Bai Chinese Medicine Museum. It's weird. I asked you to explore the truth and reality, but I didn't let you be an assistant. Jia, didn't you contact several major folk old Chinese medicine halls in the magic capital? Gotcha, Li Jia said without hesitation when she heard this. Compared to the Bai Chinese Medicine Hall, those old Chinese medicine halls are not farts. And how can there be the little brother of Bai in the Bai family Chinese medicine pavilion who is charming? Hearing his daughter's words, Li Dakang was stunned. He knew that his daughter was a scholar, but she was still a child, and she was a little bit in love. I'm afraid I was attracted by the appearance of that white knight. Come to think of this, Li Dakang suddenly said seriously. Jia, Dad respects your decision. Dad admits that kid is a bit handsome, but you should focus on improving yourself now. If you find that you can't learn anything at that Bai's Chinese Medicine Hall, but you must stop the loss in time. Dad, what are you talking about? Hearing the change in his father's tone, Li Jia immediately spoke. You asked me to explore the reality of Bai's Chinese Medicine Hall. I will find out clearly. What a awesome class. Master and I really didn't exaggerate. Even in some ways, that white knight is even more awesome than Master and I. What? Hearing his daughter say this, Li Dakang was stunned again, and his tone immediately became heavier. Jia, you can't talk nonsense. Master Ni is the Taishan Baidu of the Chinese medicine academic world, and he is your father's Chinese medicine teacher. Dad, I'm not going to joke about that. Hearing his father's stern tone, Li Jia crossed his waist and said. You'll know if you've watched last night's live stream. I'll just say this, Bai can enter the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall, but Master Ni is not qualified to enter after so many years of hard work. Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall, Li Dakang heard this, his face was suddenly shocked. Last night a coder at the vice-national level, of course he knew about the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall. That is the top family genius in the field of Chinese medicine, and only entered. Although Mr. Ni Guanghai has a prominent reputation, it is recognized by the academic public. But in the eyes of the family of traditional Chinese medicine, the gold content is not so high. After all, the traditional Chinese medicine inheritance of the Chinese medicine family is passed down from generation to generation, and many schools have been born for thousands of years, and the secrets of those schools are not something that can be learned from textbooks. He was also fortunate to have come into contact with the old Chinese medicine doctor of the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall, but unfortunately due to his weak political resources, his contact was limited. But I also know that the average age of the Chinese medicine geniuses in the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall is 50 years old. Only one girl named Huang Xiaowai is 16 years old, but she is the legendary son of Chinese medicine, and her great-great-grandfather is also Huang Yuanyu, the imperial physician of Emperor Qianlong. But what is the background of this white knight? There is no background at all. if he has a background in a family of Chinese medicine, then he must know. Because he has recently been planning a program on the top 10 rankings of Chinese medicine in Longguo, he is flipping through the list of traditional Chinese medicine families. There is no buy at all. Come to think of this. Li Dakang's face was straight, his waist was straight, and he asked, Jia, what is the basis for what you say? Hey, it's not easy for you to rely on it, said Li Jia. Now there are many short videos about White Knight on the internet, just search for it. I'll just say it bluntly, last night, the old man Liang Yukaiu, the big man of the Chinese medicine school, personally invited Bai Ye to join the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall. Of course, old man Liang also set up an assessment, and in the same assessment, Master Ni did not pass, but Bai Ye did. So, Dad, you get the idea. Don't talk about it. 886, they're going to interview the assistant. There was a blind sound of beep on the mobile phone, and Li Dakang was still in a daze, and he was stunned for a while before he came to his senses. As the secretary of the Imperial Capital Municipal Party Committee, in recent years, he has made a mistake in his vision for the first time. I really didn't expect that a young man who specializes in infertility would be qualified to join the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall. That's a lot of fun. Not to mention whether the White Knight can pass the heavy assessment behind the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall. Is qualified to be invited by Mr. Liang, so he is not an ordinary person. It seems that the list of players in the Dragon Country TCM ranking list, the youth group, can be considered for the White Knight. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Traditional Chinese medicine, infertility, crazy social death patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 49. Bai's Traditional Chinese Medicine Museum. After Bai Ye finished breakfast, he turned on the live broadcast on his mobile phone. As a rigorous Chinese medicine practitioner, his language will definitely not be as lively and jumpy as other anchors. After saying hello to netizens, I was idle and bored. While practicing Yujin Sutra, he chatted with netizens. Early, wow, is the anchor switching to the wellness channel now? Haha, this is the Yujin meridian, rotate and stretch the meridians. The anchor's movements are so beautiful. Anyway, I also watched other masters explain the Yujin Sutra. How do you feel that everyone's body style is different? Go back upstairs, of course. Each master understands differently, plus the health state of the body's internal organs is different, of course the practice is different. I've learned. Practice with the anchor. The early worm has a bird to eat. The upstairs wants to eat birds, but it's a girl. The anchor is really early, but I want to see the death of the anchor society. Do you say that no one has come to see infertility so early? What do you think? Now infertile couples will go to the big hospital for examination first, and finally have no choice but to come to the small hospital. Now there must be no one so early. However, it's also good to be able to enjoy the beauty of the anchor online. Bai Ye didn't expect that his popularity was not bad. As soon as he started broadcasting, a bunch of netizens went online to post barrages. I'm not good at talking, so I attract all the fans. Saying. Netizens have a barrage, which still makes him very concerned. It's my own alley, this early in the morning, I don't think anything will come. Even if you look at infertility, the first choice is not a small Chinese medicine hall like him. If that's the case, then the whole morning will be boring. Bai Ye suddenly thought of the girl who said she was going to interview for an assistant last night. Will she come? Judging from her temperament and appearance, the girl was born in a powerful family. This kind of girl has a very high vision. Last night, I said that I was an assistant, probably jokingly, otherwise how could I bring my pet to the doctor? Come to think of this. Baya glanced at the pile of modern instruments next door, and then turned to print a job posting. The requirements are not high, medical students graduated, female. And at this very moment, a crisp and pleasant female voice rang out at the door of the store. "Hey, boss." Li Jiajia stood still at the door and waved her hand to the white knight inside. Suddenly, the youthful and lively atmosphere spreads in this Chinese medicine hall. The whole atmosphere has also quietly changed. There is also a faint sweet smell of love idol drama wafting in the air. After sniffing carefully, I found that it was the other party who sprayed perfume. "Is that you?" Baya looked at it intently, and couldn't help but light up. I saw the girl in front of me wearing black silk high heels, a light-colored short skirt, and an orange coat on her upper body. The color scheme is high-end, plus this girl's innate temperament. It suddenly gives people a stunning feeling of beauty out of the circle. "Why don't you remember me?" Li Jiajia glanced at Baya, put down her bag, and then took out a resume. "Give. Introduce yourself, and your resume." "I, Li Jiajia, will be your assistant from today onwards." "I'm excellent, but don't hear you say no." At this time, the barrage in the live broadcast room. "Wow! Isn't this Li Jiajia, the school flower of Fudan University? I actually worked as an assistant to the anchor. I was so envious that I wanted to be separated. She is still the daughter of the secretary of the Imperial Capital Municipal Party Committee, who used to specialize in fighting fake Chinese medicine, but now she has been conquered by the charm of the anchor. Oh my God! If such a beautiful woman with a lot of money is my assistant, even if I live in a villa every day, drive a luxury car and eat delicacies from the mountains and seas, I am willing." Dog anchor. Damn, what's going on with the dog food that feels like you've been given dog food early in the morning? Haha, I want to swallow their CP inexplicably. I didn't know what it meant to be a talented man and a woman before, but when I saw this scene, I understood it in seconds. If you dare to refuse, be careful that we send you a blade. When netizens saw Li Jiajia appear on the screen and said such cute and domineering words, they immediately exploded. Because Li Jiajia is a celebrity, many netizens still know her. So they want to know what kind of wonderful chemical reaction will happen between Li Jiajia and Baya. "Li Jiajia, I didn't think you were here." Baya took the resume she handed over and looked at it, then his face was pale, and he couldn't help but speak. "Your dad is still a feudal official. In that case, how can you fall in love with my little place?" Baya glanced at the generous Li Jiajia, still in disbelief. "Boss, you have made a mistake." After hearing Baya's words, Li Jiajia said with a smile. "My dad is only the secretary of the Municipal Party Committee, deputy and national level, and the secretary of the Provincial Party Committee is worthy of the title of a feudal official. Well, if nothing else, my dad will be promoted to the ministerial level next year." Ahem. Hearing this, Baya coughed lightly and interrupted. He didn't want to inquire much about the personnel aspects of this kind of national leader. Glancing at Li Jiajia's almost perfect resume, Baya had only one question. He looked at Li Jiajia's beautiful big eyes and asked, "You are a noble person, why did you come to me as an assistant? You must know that working as an assistant in my small Chinese medicine hall is very boring. And you know, Chinese medicine looks at infertility, and it won't be very popular, and most of it will be boring. Besides, I can't pay you much salary." "Boss, are you done?" Hearing Baya's question, Li Jiajia said with a big grin. Baya nodded. "Why did you come here as an assistant?" Li Jiajia said, looking at Baya's eyes seriously, and slowly spoke. "No special reason is needed." "Because I like it?" said. Li Jiajia's chin lifted slightly, and her chest shook inadvertently. Traditional Chinese medicine, infertility, crazy social death patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 50. Hearing Li Jiajia's reason, Bai Ye was stunned. He really couldn't refute this reason, and looking at her beautiful resume, she obtained a Western medicine certificate and a Chinese medicine certificate at such a young age. It is indeed a rare talent, and being an assistant is more than enough. Okay, Bai Ye nodded in satisfaction, and then lifted the curtain next door. Let me tell you about the general scope of your work. Main. It's about using these testing instruments with patients. Especially female patients. If you look at these instruments, which ones don't? When Li Jiajia heard Bai Ye's words, the corners of her mouth hooked up a good-looking arc. Yesterday, she saw these instruments, and they are all imported brands, which are more advanced than many domestic instruments. I don't know how the boss got it. However, for the well-informed her, none of this is a problem. And, la. So easy. Boss, if you don't understand, I can still do popular science for you. Like this. Li Jiajia picked up a duckbill plier casually, grinned, and said loudly. This one is called duckbill pliers. It's for women to open up the cherry blossom avenue. How's it going? It's very simple, let the patient lie down first. Well, I don't need to say more, I believe you. Looking at Li Jiajia's explanation, Bai Ye hurriedly stopped him. If you say too much detail and too many sensitive words, my live broadcast room will be closed. At this time, the barrage in the live broadcast room. Haha. The anchor is so cute, he blushes. A little secret, Colonel Li of Fudan University is an old driver. Horror. When I saw that duckbill pliers, I remembered the psychological shadow of having a gynecological examination. It's the egg retrieval needle, the duckbill pliers, it hurts through the phone screen. It's really amazing, the Anchor's small Chinese medicine hall actually has such complete equipment. Hi, it's a pity that the equipment is complete, most people will still choose to go to a tertiary hospital for examination. Yes, don't go astray as an anchor, you're a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine. After Bai Ye finished speaking, Li Jiajia carefully wrote it down, and then pouted. Boss, you're underestimating me. Actually, my level of traditional Chinese medicine is also good, and I can ask for a diagnosis and cut everything. In terms of prescriptions, I am also accomplished. In addition, since our Chinese medicine hall is dedicated to infertility. Last night, I also made up for the anatomy knowledge and theories of Chinese medicine. I can still be of great use, not to mention being your right-hand man, at least I can be your right-hand man. Hear this. Bai Ye paused slightly, saying that his skills in prescriptions were still blank. It was embarrassing for Li Jiajia to see it. However, he is also curious about Li Jiajia's level of traditional Chinese medicine. So he spoke. Okay. The guests will come, you're here, so let's take a look. Then I was on the sidelines to instruct. Okay, hearing Bai Ye say this, Li Jiajia nodded excitedly. The first step she thinks about now is to gain Bai Ye's approval, and then the next step is to become Bai Ye's inner disciple. Then, if it goes well, cultivate feelings. Then something embarrassing happens, and you can openly let Bai Ye dredge the meridians of her chest. Of course, the most important thing is to learn the essence of Chinese medicine. Come to think of this. Li Jiajia cheered up and took the initiative to clean up for Bai Ye. However, just waiting, more than an hour passed, and there was not a single patient. Boss, our alley is too remote, have you considered advertising or moving outside? Li Jiajia held her beautiful chin and looked at it. Ahem, this long-term plan is there, but for now, let's accumulate capital first. Looking at Li Jiajia's cute little cocked nose, Bai Ye couldn't help but laugh. Nanny, hearing the boss's words, Li Jiajia's eyes widened in incomprehension. Hey, the pattern is small, boss, your medical skills are so good, Can't you get a loan from the bank for money? Ahem, did you talk to your boss like that? When Baya heard her tone, he couldn't help but roll his eyes. Could it be difficult to tell her about what he had just crossed? And at this very moment, said that CAO arrived, and when the two of them were worried about the patient, two young couples came to the door of the store. A visitor, seeing this, Li Jiajia's eyes lit up and her mouth pursed. Welcome. The crisp and melodious voice fell. The little couple who had just stepped in suddenly paused. The other party felt weird when he heard this. How could there be a medical hall that said welcome? Husband, I don't feel right, why don't we go? A Sven woman with black-rimmed eyes whispered. Wife, we've all brought the information, so let's take a look. A man who looks gentle and honest puts his strong arms around his wife's waist. However, it's not the same as yesterday's live broadcast. Why is there a little girl? The woman said cautiously, instantly feeling unreliable. I don't know, let's go, wife, if you come, you will be safe. The man smiled cheerfully. Said. The two came to Baya and Li Jiajia. Baya nodded lightly and looked at the two of them. The man is tall and sturdy, and at first glance he is a practitioner, and his eyes look like a soldier, and he is upright. The woman is a little bird, wearing Sven's glasses, giving people a gentle feeling. Are you two here to see infertility? Baya asked politely. Yes. The man nodded angrily and said, Dr. Bai, we are here. Dr. Bai, who is this? The woman glanced at Li Jiajia, looking a little apprehensive. She was my assistant. Baya smiled faintly. Today she is sitting in the clinic, and I am guiding by the side.